Okay, I'm kind of going backwards here a bit, purely because I've already taken this off. In order to get the Mercedes into neutral, other than starting the engine, first you have to pry up this boot, and you got to use your little plastic special pry tool and slowly work your way around. Then you can move this boot out of the way. Then, in order to get it into neutral, down there, wait a second, I'm trying to get you the best view. You see the black piece and what looks like a button. It's not a button, that's the pivot point. So what you need to do is get your finger down where that black flat piece is, push it in with your finger or a tool, doesn't matter. Then you'll be able to select any gear you want, because that prevents you from moving the gear lever. I mean, yes, you could break it off, but that's not a good idea. So yeah, just get your finger down there, push that little black piece in at the bottom, and then the lever will go wherever you want it to. And obviously, if you think you're on an incline, for Christ's sake, keep the park brake on. And that's okay, because that'll lock the rear wheels and you'll still be able to turn the transmission. There you go. Wasn't that fun? Okay. You have to have the car in neutral to do this. You've got to take this front shield off. Well, you don't need the car in neutral to take the front shield off, do you? But anyway, at one point you've got to take the front shield off so that you can access the crank pulley up there. And that is, I believe it's a 27mm socket. Let me just double check that for you. Yeah, 27mm socket. And now that you've put the car in neutral, you can turn the transmission, which is in other words turning the engine, on that crank without the car moving. Obviously you want to make sure the car is safe and isn't going to go anywhere. I'm okay, mine's on a ramp and it's level, so it's not a problem, but just, you know, make sure. So once you can turn the crank clockwise and keep turning and look up through this peephole, and eventually that plug will appear. You'll need to get this cable out of the way, which is what I'm about to do. Then you need your set of Allen wrenches on that, and give me a second, I'll tell you what size that is. Okay, let's see, can you see that? Just about see that there, I guess. Hang on, let me try around here a bit more. Get the light up in there. Okay, you can see I've got the Allen key in, and I found the best method is to hit the end of this with a hammer to shock it undone. If you try just, you know, pressure, it'll start turning the engine, and that's not what you want. So initially just give it a whack with I used a rubber hammer, and that has started to loosen. It is very tight, so be aware of that. And there, as you can see, is yucky. Definitely very, very yucky. Yeah, that's not the colour fluid you want. So now I'm going to leave that to drain. Yeah, I undid that clip, tried to get the cables out of the way. I tried to undo those connections, they're too tight. I didn't want to break them, so I thought, sod it, I'll just let it pour over it, let it get dirty, and clean it afterwards. So now I'm going to leave this draining for a few hours. I have a doctor's appointment, not that you care about that, but it just gives me a chance to leave this to drain. All right. Okay, so this is the basic setup I have for pumping the fluid in. This is just one of those standard pumpy things, as you can see. And there's the liquid. Now, I tried to get a fancy setup with the thread, but
the guy in the hardware store screwed me up and gave me the wrong thread, and it didn't fit in there. So I said, all right, I'm just going to try this pump. And by screwing that pipe in, you can screw it in good and tight. I found that keeping this bottle higher than the pump when pumping it, and I don't mean it's down there. I have the pump here, roughly, and then I pumped in 5 quarts, and then turned the engine on and ran it for roughly 10 to 15 seconds and shut it off. Then I'm now pumping more fluid in. I'm going to put perhaps another quart or so in. Now, what you will need, in my opinion, is a nice, perfectly clean bowl, so you don't waste the fluid. Now, when I take this pipe out after pumping another 2 quarts in, I'm expecting a lot to piss out. The temperature at the moment, hang on a second, of my oil pan, I would guess will probably be around 25, 30 degrees. Let's see. $27.7, there you go. And it needs to be 45. So, and really you should get yourself one of these. It makes life so much easier. I think it was a Harbor Freight job. Wasn't expensive. But it's good. I'll shoot it over there, and what do I see? Yeah, that little motor over there that's 27.7, which is basically stop that room temperature. Let me see. Somebody said if you do it at 90 degrees, it changes. It says it's 27.5, 0.7. Yeah. So I think the angle doesn't matter too much, but personally I would go for the straight shot. Now you can see, the pan's got a little bit of grip on it. That is really it. So the next phase of this is I'm going to pump another, as I said, another couple of quarts in. Then I'm going to run the engine and go through the gears. That's what you have to do. Select all the gears, go through them all the way through and all the way back up. I tend to do it twice. Maybe that's overkill, maybe that's anal. And then I will come under here and I will look at the temperature of the oil or the oil pan. And once I'm sure that it's up to the 45 degrees, I will take the drain plug out. And whatever comes out, terrific. If nothing comes out, I got to pump more in. If it flows out, then I got to wait for the flow to stop until it's a trickle. Then when it's a trickle, I know I have the right fluid level. Then after that, all you have to do is put all those bloody panels back on. Yeah, I'll probably give them a quick hose down before I do that. All right, so now, as I said, that's how it works. I've got to pump now another couple of quarts in there and see how it goes. Obviously, I've got transmission fluid all over the exhaust, so you're going to get a stinky winky. And nothing worse than having a stinky winky. Then, in theory, that should be it, and I'll take it for a test drive. Yeah, there you go. So, get out in that garage, go do some shit. Yay! Okay, so now I'm under the car. I've got the engine running, as you can tell. The transmission now is 29.6 degrees, 29.8, 30, 31. So I've got to let it go a little bit more. When I get up to 45, then I'm going to take the drain plug out, or the filler plug, whatever you want to call it, and see what happens. If fluid pours out, that's great in my book, and I'll just let it drip until I get to not a stream, but a slow amount. If it's pouring out, I'm just going to leave it. If I get nothing, then I'm going to have to pump some more fluid in. Currently hitting 31 degrees, and that's C, 31 degrees Celsius, sassy ass. So I'll bring you back in a second. Now, one thing, I'm sorry I'm doing this with the engines running, but it's while I remember it. If you buy the Mercedes kit, the rubber gasket has a little rubber pin on it that fits in. I'm sorry, it's a bit hot here, and I don't know if, no, you can't see it, but anyway, that rubber pin fits in and holds the gasket in place while you're fucking around and getting it up onto the oil pan. A neat little job. I'm sure if you buy an aftermarket one, you won't get that. Oh, reminder, I've got to put that shield back in. Haven't done that yet. Right, let's see what we're doing temperature wise, shall we? Where's me gun gone? Gun, 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 gun. It says I'm 35.7, 35.4, 35.9, 35.9, 34. Yeah, it's well, of course the fluid's got to circulate around. So a little longer to go yet before I can pull the plug. And don't worry about the mess there, I'll clear that up afterwards.